Welcome to Living in the Matrix. I'm Jonathan, and I'm left of center.
And I'm Rich, and I tend to lean a little bit more to the right. But the bottom line is together we try to look for the balance of what it means to be human in today's world.
If you're in the midst of some kind of struggle where you're doing everything you can to overcome and it's just not working, we have got a guest for you. Today, we're interviewing Kevin Crane, a world champion grappler for USA Grappling. And when you look at Kevin, you immediately think this guy has it all, but you would be wrong. Kevin, which you would never know by looking at him, started life with two parents who were incarcerated addicts. So he started at the bottom, and yet Kevin chose to overcome everything to reach the top of the grappling world. Join us today as we take a deep dive into Kevin Crane on Living in the Matrix. Rich, how do you want to start?
I want to start by getting fired up about Kevin and why I thought he was going to be a great fit for the podcast. And be happy to just dive in right there. It was kind of serendipitous. Essentially, we've got a local gym where a lot of cool cats like to hang out in the sauna afterwards. There's a lot of really good therapeutic benefits for being in a sauna, which include increasing the ability to heal yourself, right, from inflammation, a variety of other things. It also becomes a really cool social place. So lo and behold, one afternoon, I'm kicking it there, and in comes this guy, Kevin, with just a lot of energy. I could just viscerally feel something palpable there. And he started talking to somebody who knew him in the MMA and the grappling circles. I didn't really know anybody. So all of a sudden we start kind of talking about, ways to be healthy, ways to overcome, the craziness of the world, ways to, deal with diet and, all kinds of stuff. And next thing you know, I'm really saying to myself, this could be a great guy who isn't living in the status quo, who's overcoming all kinds of stuff, just depending on the adversity and becoming a freaking stud. And I said, dude, you'd be great for a podcast. What do you think? And he agreed with me. So here we are.
What's your take on first meeting Rich, Kevin?
Yeah, same thing. Just incredible energy, very intelligent man, and I love conversating, and masterminding in the sauna, and just the healthy conversations that take place in there.
What do you mean by that, masterminding? What is your? Because I know not everybody understands what that is. What does that mean for you?
Yeah, when two minds get together, they create a third. So it's kind of like, bouncing ideas off each other and just sharing, all each other's knowledge to put the puzzle pieces together of this matrix that we live in.
But I'd love to hear maybe what's your journey been like over the last 3, 5, 7 years that helped you overcome the most of the adversity that you talk about and has gotten you where you are today. And then maybe along the way, as you're giving us this background, we can come up with some little questions here and there to kind of, flesh this out, especially for our audience who might not know what grappling is or some of the other things you've actually kind of encountered along the way.
Where for you began sort of the process where you decided to step out of your comfort zone? Have you always had that?
Yeah. I think ever since a young childhood, growing up in a broken home filled with all the neglect and abuse due to all the drug and alcohol use from my parents. I think I've always been comfortable in the chaos,
That's a really interesting process and way to grow up and to think about it that way. You grew up in a state of chaos. What was that like?
A lot of like fear and just unknowing. Just a lot of uncertainty, I don't know if my parents both overdosed on heroin multiple times and survived throughout my childhood. So never knowing if the cops were going to show up because a fight broke out in the home or if one of my parents was going to die from drugs. I guess always like being on like edge and in that fight or flight mode. I had an uncle that lived with us and ended up becoming my legal guardian when I was 8, when both my parents were incarcerated simultaneously, and he's kind of like my savior. He always had that calm, sober, peaceful love energy about him. So I always gravitated towards him as a young child because I knew I was safe when I was around him. But, you know,
What
children
did he
aren't.
see in you?
He always told me I was a born champion. And
Huh.
that positive re-encouragement, that positive affirmation to train. You know, he always built me up and believed in me and supported me. And now here I am on Team USA. Last year won the world championships in Spain after 13 years of grappling. Finally became a world champion at the black belt level. And I brought him back to gold medal because he's not doing very well health-wise, mentally and physically. So to bring him back that gold medal after winning it in Spain last year was the most precious moment of my life.
That's
Up to
amazing.
this day. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
And
phenomenal.
we talked about
What was that like holding that gold medal? Sorry,
Uh,
Rich.
yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, I took it to the Coliseum because I went to Rome for 5 days and stayed and did a little bit of vacation adventuring and sightseeing, and getting to stand in the Coliseum with that gold medal was definitely like a dream come true. And then to
Because
bring
you're
it
in
back to
grappling.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're in
yeah.
grappling in Rome.
I'm on.
That's like the beginning.
Yeah. I've always thought of myself as a modern day like gladiator and samurai, you know, and hopefully jujitsu will be in the Olympics by 2028, even possibly with this rule set because it's the same governing body as the Olympic wrestling organization. So if they could get jujitsu into the Olympics by 2028, I'll be 33 years old, which is kind of a peak of a man's cardiovascular conditioning, starting to finally gain some wisdom and still in the physical peak. And it will be in Los Angeles. So last summer I came to the realization that I actually might be competing for a gold medal in the Olympics during this lifetime. You know, if I stay on track and stay on the frequency I'm headed towards.
That's amazing. That's one of the reasons why I also thought you'd be a great fit for this podcast, because here you were talking about dropping down to 170 pounds for a contest, but we're just 200 pounds prior. And we're talking even about running ultra marathons. And one of the things you do not see out there very often is people who are over 200 pounds running ultra marathons. The people that crush 50, 60, 80, 100 milers look like they could blow away in a stiff breeze, even if they're wet, right? Because they're about 140 pounds, definitely in their 30s in the peak. So, Jonathan, one of the reasons why I love, Kevin, is like you've got this dichotomy of like, super, bulk, big guy who can do some serious wrestling and stuff, but at the same time has an ultra marathon kind of experience and background. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit about the athletic part of your journey, right? It seems like you overcame stuff. You had a guardian in your uncle that loved you, that wanted you to be a champion, that knew somehow, some way, whether it's a mental champion or just dealing with parents and overcoming that kind of struggle. But where did you see yourself coming into the physical side of things? And when did you choose jujitsu / grappling as opposed to anything else to kind of make your mark athletically?
Yeah, when I was 5 years old, I loved pro wrestling, you know, Stone Cold and The Rock,
Sure.
Kane and The Undertaker. It was that era for me. And I would wrestle with my brother every night and all his friends before dinner, and just all the time wrestling with my uncles and any older man that was around. And I grew up playing baseball, basketball, and football. My uncle always put me in sports to give me structure, keep me out of trouble. And I was a high school dropout my freshman year because both my parents were living on the beach in Santa Barbara, and I moved with my aunt and uncle in Ojai to kind of recreate myself and start a new life, and was able to be a part of that first ever championship team in Ojai's little school history, Nordhoff, first CIF championship
Nice.
team. Yeah, in 100-year history of the school. And I led them to the CIF championship and became defensive player of the year my senior year. And during the off season of those last 3 years in high school, I started training at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy to stay out of trouble and keep me from being a little hood rat, you know. And the jujitsu changed the way I thought, more importantly than anything, you know, the methodical approach of jujitsu, because it's human chess, you know. If it's high level problem solving under high level stress, you know, another man trying to choke you unconscious, and you having to stay calm and make the correct decisions and make no mistakes, really helped in the football in my last couple of years of high school. But then after that, I was too small and too slow for the NFL, so I ended up pursuing becoming a professional martial artist and becoming a professional athlete, and basically professional grappling and mixed martial arts.
Wow. No, I saw there was an Instagram video of you where somebody comes up to you and says, "Don't touch him. You touch him and I'll ban you." And it was freaking awesome. I think your comment was, "This is the most entertaining grappling ever." And I watched how you moved around this guy like clockwork, but I didn't know where you're going because I don't have that experience. But this is the kind of thing you're talking about. How did you, let's talk about that move right there, because for the untrained eye, no, I didn't know where you were going. So tell me about that particular event and how you worked your way mentally around how you were going to dismantle this guy. And basically, you got him in a really bad armbar, didn't you? I mean, he looked like he was in pain. Tell us about that.
That was the ADCC Abu Dhabi Combat Championship Costa Mesa Open, and that video went viral on YouTube, has 1 million views, and my
Nice.
Instagram reel went viral too, 75,000. And I actually lost to him in like a kind of a not too fair of a rule set where you both start on each other's back and get a chance to choke each other. So it's the equivalent of like letting somebody try to knock you out with their best right hand, and then you getting to do the same in return. And he beat me in that rule set last July. So it was really good to get redemption and get a real submission that actually counts. And I got him with an arm bar. My style and jujitsu is very unorthodox. You know, everyone thinks I'm a wrestler because, like you said, I'm pretty muscle bound and stocky and American, but I didn't. I grew up watching pro wrestling, and I broke 2 of my mom's beds from just sitting there for hours on end, slamming the teddy bear, visualizing these scenarios of becoming like a WWF or WWE world champion. And
you were manifesting even as a kid, man. You had it all down.
You know, that's one thing that I always had since I can remember, you know, is now I'm getting super into this law of attraction and manifestation, and so fascinated by really everything in our life is attracted. Everything that we've ever, up to this conversation has been attracted through our subconscious mind and what it is we desire at the core. And I always just visualize, even shooting basketballs out there and on the basketball hoop in my driveway, like the buzzer beaters, 3, 2, 1, and making the game-winning basket. And that's what life's about, showing everyone. That's my whole thing, is bend but never break. That's the award I won in high school my senior year, and that was my motto during the 100-mile race that I completed 2 years ago in April in Zion, Utah, because that's what this world needs, especially in these dark times, is the inspiration, the motivation, and showing the whole world what happens when you never give up on your dreams. So bend but never break is one of my mottos, and going to be branded here shortly. And the 100 Miles or Die is the documentary that my friend filmed, and it was supposed to be all about my brother. You guys have to meet my brother, Sean Michael Crane. He's an online fitness coach and now life coach and mindset coach, and he's doing motivational speaking and really taking his life to a whole new level. He did 6 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, got out, wrote a book about his life, telling his story, has over 10 years sober. And whenever we're together, just the synergy is unstoppable. And that's his brand now, is Unstoppable 365 MFer. And he's kind of been like my life coach since he's returned from prison, and always mentoring me. He's the older brother, my first coach, my first training partner. And he signed up for a 100-mile run. So the only reason I accomplished a 100-mile run was to go help somebody. You know, I wasn't doing it for myself. I was just making sure that he wouldn't die out there in the desert of Zion. And sure enough, at mile 30, he started shitting blood, and his lips dried up, and he had to quit during the 100-mile run. So I got my payback from all the childhood when he used to beat me up and abuse me when he was fucked up on drugs and alcohol. Yeah.
Well, you carried the mantle, and quite frankly, you know, what's so funny and what's so sad is there's so many people that would hate on this idea of abundance and unstoppable nature, and everybody goes, it could be pretty cheesy. My son loves Logic, who's a rapper, and he's seen him 3 or 4 times, but he talks about positivity and peace, and he's absolutely crushed it. And you know what? The most amazing stories are the ones coming from folks like you who have overcome like the most incredible trials and tribulations, because it gives you a vantage point from the universe that I don't think a lot of people have. And I think, let me ask you this question. Would you take what you went through back, and would you try to live that over again? Or do you look at that from a framework from one of our other guests? His name's Sean. He actually welcomed all the things that happened. How would you describe that background that you've gone through? Would you give yourself a chance to do it all over again? Or would you say, no, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say no, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know, yeah, it's really bizarre. It's like everything we ever learned was backwards. You know, everything's happening to us and for us, or, you know, like we get to, not we have to. And yeah, everything's really happening for us, not to us. And I see how the man that I've become, you know, coming into my late 20s, and my other childhood friends that had it easier or nowhere near to the level of success that I've reached. And it's all because being hardened by these struggles and these adversities that I've got the pleasure of getting to overcome and deal with.
When did you discover that?
I guess in high school. I mean, ever since a young age, I've been praying to God to give me the most miraculous life possible, you know, praying for, you know, to put
Did
me
that come
through
natural?
Yeah, just natural. Yeah,
Yeah.
just instinct, intuitive. Yeah, from I guess you would say the infinite intelligence or the collective consciousness, you know, the higher power. I'm on a fast right now, and already did
We
2
call it the
training.
unified field.
Okay, yeah, the unified field. Yeah, I mean everything's connected. It's really powerful once you start to understand and see this, because we're all just we're all just connected in like some way that nobody can even begin to fathom. But you just have to realize that that's the reality. And once you get like tuned in, you start to see all these synchronicities in life, and just slowly putting the puzzle pieces together. And yeah, it's so beautiful, like to see you know, when life comes full circle and you start to see all the silver linings of every situation. And yeah, the abundance mindset is one thing that I've really been working on, because I've mastered the physical and now been mastering my mental. And obviously, I want to master the financial part of my life. That way I can start to give back and help support people like I have had to get to where I'm at today. Yeah.
You experience a lot of pain is part of what craft you've chosen. That requires a lot of mental acuity on top of physical acuity. How have you dealt with that as a human being, dealing with that much pain? Like, what do you have a pain cave? Do you have a place you go? Do you separate it? What do you do?
Yeah, to deal with the trauma, that I've gone through. Yeah, the pain, it's all like you said, that one guy's the abundance alchemist, the abundant alchemist. Yeah, alchemy is the transfer of energy, right? So you have to turn all those negatives into positives. One of my walkout songs, Juicy by Biggie Smalls, and he talks about turning all the negatives in his life into positive. And that's kind of been the mission that I'm on, because I downloaded so much negative behavior and just all the lying and cheating and stealing that I did for like the first 27 years of my life. I have so much karma that I have to build back up. You know, I'm behind in the game of life. You know, I'm still down in the score, and I'm working my way to get back to even and then eventually win. And yeah, just as a young child, downloading all that negative behavior, and so to rewire my brain and my subconscious all for this positivity and love and abundance. And man, it's pretty incredible to see the transformation that I've made in the last year, and to see how contagious it is, and how people just are like loving just being around me now, just
Yeah.
because the positivity is everything. I mean, it's really it's unstoppable once you get on this like frequency of always training your mind. I've been doing these affirmations while running, alpha male affirmations, positive affirmations, and everything. Like, we are creators, you know. Abracadabra in Hebrew is as we speak, we create. And I hate that I would ever lose track of that thought for even a second, because that's I'm reaching like this higher level of awareness that I never even could begin to understand before. And just trying to be conscious, like about every decision I make, from the water I put in my body to the foods I eat, and sharing all this knowledge that I've learned with everyone has just been incredible.
Oh my gosh, man. No, you just encapsulated so much right there. And I think what's amazing
Yeah.
about this journey that you're on, that I'm on, that Jonathan's on, I think we're all trying to tap into this unified field, this level of what we call pure consciousness. And I think we're each getting there in unique ways. I've been able to, I think, get into some really cool spots because something called transcendental meditation. So you might have heard of it. It's a meditative technique, the likes of Eddie Vedder, you know, you've got Paul McCartney, you know, got, you know, Clint Eastwood, Seinfeld. A lot of people have been doing that. And what Sean Clayton talked about is going back to the source, right? But Jonathan has his own way of doing it. I'd like to say, you know, when you're trying to hit this level of real creativity and alchemy and abundance, is it something that you do like a meditative process? I know that when you just described, you know, saying it out loud, right? Creating it from words, right? If you say it, you can manifest it. So what are the practices that you have that are getting you in the zone like that? And then let's take another step forward after that. And you hinted at something about the kind of water you put in your body. I think you're probably talking about structured water and avoiding tap water. So let's dive into two pieces here. One, how are you getting to that level of creation of that mind, that mental state where you're actually seeing it all laid out in front of you? And then let's go after that into some of those practical things you're doing day by day, diet wise, exercise wise, things that are actually helping your body be the best they can be so they can align with your mind.
Yeah, meditation has been a really big one for me in the last year or two. And yeah, I think being the fasting has honestly been the biggest attribute to getting to those creative mindsets. Yeah, fasting while running during the hottest part of the day is what I was doing when I was training for Zion a couple of years ago. And you're in like a higher frequency mind state, and you can just really start to tap into all your truths. You know, it's all about being honest with yourself.
It's what we're really realizing now is that you can actively put yourself into a state where you're in that fight or flight mode, and then you can control the experience by bringing a newfound understanding to it. And to say, oh, in this moment, no, I can handle this. And that is the learning. I think as a human being is we face pain and then we experience it and run from it, not recognizing the understanding of overcoming that pain that's life. That is the joyous fruit of life when you realize you can handle anything.
Yeah.
And I think, Kevin, that's what you really experienced in your life is you've taught your body, I can handle this pain.
When you're doing this fasting, so Jonathan and I have both, Jonathan's lost a lot of weight. And I think you've maybe kept it off, Jonathan, but Jonathan, you know, 30 pounds, doing his own type of intermittent fasting. I've lost 10 pounds over the last, call it, couple months doing it. And I just do, call it, a 12 to 8 hour window. Why don't you let us know what you're doing in your fast that's helping you hit this kind of mental zone?
Yeah, I mean, I train every day pretty much. I'm trying to be like the David Goggins of jujitsu. After doing that 100-mile run, it separated me from everybody else in the grappling community because I don't think anybody's ever done that. So I knew I had to do something to get an edge on the 8 billion people on this planet, or the ones that at least are on the UFC roster trying to beat me in my field. And yeah, doing 2 and 3, 4 trainings a day. I try to push the fast as long as I can. And, obviously I don't want to hinder my physical performance for these trainings, but it's interesting because fighting is 90% mental. They say, in life, 90% mental, but why is 90% of the training physical? So I'm trying to always battle in my mind, which is better, to train to train fasted and depleted. That way I have to use all technique and intelligence to win. And these trainings, like the 3rd training or 4th training fasted, then these sauna sessions, the energy that I have and the clarity and just being able to be like in flow state during these grappling trainings is very powerful, because I'm like creating new submissions and doing stuff that has never been done before. And definitely feel like when I'm fasted, I'm able to create a lot better, because I'm just not like bogged down by all this fucked up foods, or even if I'm eating organic dates and bananas and honey in between my workouts, which lately I've been doing just organic dates, honey, bananas, and fruit in between my workouts. And then at the end at night, if I'm trying to cut weight, I go no carb dinners, which is just grass-fed beef. And like I'll make a pound of grass-fed beef and 11 eggs and crush that protein and fat for the recovery, because protein and fat takes the longest to digest. But during the day, in between workouts, you just need those high glycemic carbs that are going to transfer to glycogen to keep you going. So the fruit and the honey. But for me, it's all mental discipline too. If you can fast and just drink water, God, the universe, your higher power is watching you, something is, and it's like blessing you for being disciplined in that aspect. I feel like avoiding the pleasure of eating food, and I'm trying to become a monk too, because no emotional attachment to food, no emotional attachment to sex and money, and even my friends and family. I had to emotionally detach from my father at a young age, which was the hardest thing I ever did, because your parents raise you and you're supposed to listen to them, but then 99% of the time you become just like them, and I didn't want to become anything like my parents. Right. So that's kind of gave me a head start on it, I think, as far as emotionally detaching. But it's so hard in the matrix we live in. We just had the 4th of July and I'm just on my bike ride. I've been microdosing. I did a 24-mile bike ride with my friend who's still struggling with a lot of negatives in his life. He's my friend who helped me run the 100 miles. He did the last 50 miles with me, Diego Rivera. And I dosed him up on some mushrooms, and I could see the breakthroughs that he had. And he was just so grateful, and so much honesty came out about what he's doing in his life that he doesn't really want to do. And just to see these breakthroughs that he was having was incredible. And we're just riding our bikes through downtown Santa Barbara, and thousands of humans are out on the beach just consuming alcohol and all these foods, and they're actually just killing themselves, not just physically but spiritually, their soul. And I've been on a mission to purify my soul. So if every time I'm on these fasts, like right now, I'm just like, I don't even want to take anything into my body, because I know that it's just overeating is like the number one cause in like health issues. Been listening to Sanguru, the super famous yogi, and he apparently only slept 3 hours a night for 30 years straight, just because he wouldn't overeat. The energy that you have, no one talks about like vitality and energy, but yeah, I'm barely even scratching the surface. I'm like trying to articulate the best that I can, but it's like almost indescribable. You have to feel it. You have to do it. You got to fast, get out there, chug tons of water, run as far as you can, and then you'll start to really understand through all the different. You'll start to understand like what I'm talking about once you start to do it.
Kevin, what drew you to microdosing?
I smoked weed every day from like 11 to like 19 years old. That's what the advice that I used to escape my trauma and escape reality. And
Sure.
then I never, yeah. And now I was taking 20 to 30 bong hits a day of weed and tobacco, basically just killing myself, every second. So obviously I wasn't loving myself anywhere near what I should be, and still aren't. But every day, that's the goal, to raise your level of self-love and awareness, and start to treat your body like a temple, which it is, and purify it. And yeah, the microdosing supposedly helps with the rewiring of the brain. So the benefits of psychedelic mushrooms are just incredible. I've been doing these long runs now, eating like anywhere up to like 3 grams. And as a little kid, you never get tired because you're just stoked. You're like in a positive mindset. You're just playing, you're lost in time, and time doesn't even exist, And dogs too. The dogs are always happy, they're just stoked on life because they're not in the past or the future. They're just in the present moment, and the mushrooms just seem to really help with so many different things. Yeah, the childhood trauma, the rewiring of the brain, endurance, energy. Helping with this, I guess, the CTE that I probably have from football, and the trauma that I've got inflicted into my brain through physical combat sports. And they just increase your senses, your sense of smell, your hearing, your vision gets better. It's really powerful. What I've been experimenting with the last couple months, last year.
Jonathan, I still have to get up there. You had your buddy make us some capsules. I think I've got to get up there sooner than later. I got to get on this bandwagon.
Yeah, I'm an extremist. I like to push it in everything I do because I'm not. That's what life's about. Can't be boring.
Absolutely. But you're actually proving science. I mean, what's so crazy about it, and here's what's nuts, is that the more and more research we do, the more and more we realize that the whole reefer madness was real, because it does stunt your growth, right? When you look at teenagers, it's the worst thing you can do. If you're 52 years old and you want to toke on something every now and then, go ahead and be my guest. But what people are realizing, and they've done this at Johns Hopkins, they did this in Europe in the 40s and 50s and 60s with LSD, and the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous had a brain breakthrough because he had an LSD experience, because he saw a higher power, right? That level of consciousness. They're starting to see that if it's done well and you've got good stuff, it's actually really good. And mycelium we're connected to that stuff. So I think you're onto something. But I think what's very interesting is, I think this is what one of my guests were. He's a good friend of mine named Byron. This guy's been focusing on meditation for so long that he took a 5 gram dosage, which is like a hero's journey. And it was only an iterative bit of difference. He didn't have this amazing ego death breakthrough because his mind, I think, was already connected on a really good level. But I think for a lot of us out there who are still on this journey, that we're working on that with our minds, right? We've still got a lot of garbage. I think that microdosing is a great start to get you to that next level. I did a marathon only once. It was 26 miles, but even without mushrooms, what's amazing about the body is I was running 4 or 5 miles in a row that I didn't have a stopwatch. I would look up at the clock coming through, and I would be off by literally a second or two for each mile. So I was at a perfect 10-minute pace with my body, just because that's what the body gets to do, right? And that's why I think it's important for you on this 100-miler, when you can live in a world that you're not focusing on what your body's doing, your mind can be free to play. It just is something else you're doing, right? And next thing you know, you've gone 22 miles and it's just been like a dream, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Your body releases cannabinoids.
It is. Cannabinoids in our body. That's correct.
yeah, when you do the 100-mile race, yeah, because ever since then I've been changed on a whole different level. Because obviously I ran for 34 hours in the desert all throughout the night, and now when I'm training, I'm like obviously I have more. You always have more, but you don't want to break down your body too much. But I'm like, I don't want to be lying to myself either. I'm trying to reach the highest, purest form of myself with the self-honesty. So it's been a really
Because
interesting.
Kevin, there's a value in reaching that place where you can say, oh, I've already done that before. That's a really valuable experience to have. That only I'm curious how many people have run more than 100 miles in a 1 or 2 day period. It's probably a really small list. And to be able to say that is like at a whole nother level. Physiologically, you've taught your body, I can handle the pain for a really long time. And that's a different level. What is it that you do in your daily life that helps you get over those mental hurdles when you have the bigger parts of the training? Like when you're reaching your limit, when you feel like you've got nothing but acid in your muscles and you're like wanting to die, and you keep going. What is that like for you?
The last year, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker. He's incredible. And I've talked to him a couple times through Instagram. And I told him I was going to go become a world champion last year. And he just responded with such a quick and simple voice message and was like, well, then go and become a champion then. And just sending me that, I took off on a 10-mile run, just so stoked that he responded to me. And yeah, it's pretty incredible. And he has a saying, or I learned this from him, that you have to do, every decision you make has to be made on how it's going to affect everybody else, not yourself. So getting out of that selfish mindset of me, and more of we. And my uncle who saved me from my drug and alcoholic addicted parents and helped raise me, he's got to be the main factor that I'm doing it for, to show, because he gave his whole life to take care of me, and never really, he's the most selfless man I ever met, just and gave so much of his time, which is what we're all running out of. And they print more money every day, but time's the most valuable asset, and we're all going to die eventually. So just to really show him that all the time and energy that he put into me is going to pay off, So every time I feel like quitting or giving up, I think about him. And my dad died from fentanyl during the beginning of COVID back in 2020. And I don't know if he killed himself and did it on purpose or if it was by accident, but I have like this really powerful connection with him now, where I actually wrote a post a couple months back when I was in Spain last year that I'm closer to him than I was ever in my entire life. And he's not even here in the physical flesh form, but I'm getting like signs all the time from his spirit, or my connection to the afterlife. My mom died of a brain aneurysm when she was 49, 2 days before my first ever amateur MMA bout. So I kind of have a connection to the spiritual, a spiritual connection that you can only get once you have your parents or a loved one that close in the afterlife. And I use them as my motivation, because they suffered, they got defeated by their demons in life, and they couldn't change their life and become anywhere near their potential because of the drugs and alcohol just destroyed them. So every time I feel like giving up or quitting, I just got to remember about all the ones that couldn't, that weren't strong enough to succeed, and just keep going.
That's powerful, man. And one of the guys we had on our podcast, I obviously he was a friend of mine, but our mutual friend had a terrible bout of bipolar, and for 10 years battled it, and finally ended his life. But what was crazy about that experience was not only the loss of it, but he still impacted our lives afterwards. But when we got together for the memorial service, I've never seen such an impact on. There was like if you go to a funeral, you'll see very close friends and family members that are all kind of related in one way or another pretty closely. But there was at least 3 to 5 different kinds of groups of people that were in ministry or as pilots in aviation or in his staffing and then IT business, and all these people didn't know each other. Imagine showing up at a funeral or a celebration of life where 150 people are gathered together and 80% of them don't know who the next person is. That shows you the power of that, and what he did in his death brought us all together. And we started this long conversation where we're still talking about him in our mind's eye, and how it feels like he's reaching out to us in many ways. That's a fascinating thought. And I think it'd give a lot of relief to people who feel like they didn't do enough, because if they just open their hearts and their minds to reality, they could actually experience that too, right? That's kind of place where we're getting at. We had a gal on as well who said we're all clairvoyant, right? It's just some of us are more tapped into it than others, right? And able to know people and feel what they're coming from and intuit their past experiences, but also reaching out to the universe, right? To glean things that we normally wouldn't have even thought of, right? There's that level of creativity. What's his name? He's the director, David Lynch. He's a big TM guy, transcendental meditation. And he says you're at a level where you're creating things that your brain has never seen or thought of before, not even a hint of, right? That's what's really exciting about where we are right now, man. And that's why we need
let me give you my take on that, because I think that's a really good point. Is historically, the spiritual world was almost the boogeyman. We had the witches, like there's a long history of the spiritual world dealing with our own experience of that. And I think now that we understand quantum field, we understand that at a subatomic level, we're all energy. So when someone dies and they become energy, they're still connected to you.
Amen. Yep.
So it's not unreasonable to say that's how they do it. If that's you never know, but it's like we're all energy. And so I don't have an issue with that kind of thought anymore of like it's a boogeyman or it's untouchable. No, it's just energy. We're all connected and we're just tapping into that connection.
Kevin, you talked about some practical things earlier about how you take dates and bananas and honey. Can you give us something that you've got in your day-to-day? I want to get really practical right now, and we've been talking a lot of really high level cool stuff, but give us some practical advice, and let's focus specifically on some of the diet things that have really helped you, because I'm really interested in this dates, banana, honey kind of in between high protein and fat meals. Give me a little bit of background on how that works, what your recommended dosage is, and how to make that happen, day to day.
So when I started training for the ultra, I started learning more and more about nutrition and hydration, because the 100 miles is more of a eating and a hydration contest than anything.
Okay.
Because if you run out, your body can only absorb 4 mouthfuls of water per minute. So you have to train your subconscious mind to always be sipping on that Camelback filled with electrolytes. That way you stay hydrated.
Okay.
And you don't want to fall behind on your hydration. And then as far as glycogen goes, which is the muscle, the energy in your muscles, for working out, a male of my size, like 185, 200, I think it takes 400 grams of carbohydrates to completely restore all your glycogen. And I just kind of do it intuitively now. I don't track anything with the macros apps, or MyFitnessPal is a good app if you want to track your calories and macros. But based off of my level of just of knowledge of my own body, I'll just do 2 or the dates are really powerful, because it's 6 dates is 30 carbohydrates, and they're so fast acting, high glycemic carbs. The sugar turns into glucose and transfers to glycogen within 30 minutes. So I eat just a couple handfuls of those, maybe in a banana or 2, and then put some honey on top of all that in between my training sessions. And then, it all depends on what type of the training it is. If I did a 10-mile run, or if I did a 2-hour jujitsu session or lifted heavy weights, And for me, I don't think that the protein and fat really helps you for your next workout. It's more for recovery. And
Yeah.
so last year for the world championships, I had to lose like 15 pounds, but obviously I don't want to lose strength while cutting weight. And I don't want to, because it's all hormonal too. You don't want to lower your testosterone or increase your cortisol levels, from cutting weight and being in a calorie deficit, training so hard and preparing for the world title. So I would fast all day and then do just 11 eggs and a steak. And that was like my routine the last 2 weeks while cutting weight. But if you're not trying to cut weight, I like to eat. I don't like to be bloated during these training sessions, and being fasted, obviously you have the mental clarity, but physically you lose so much energy. Digestion just takes so much energy, and your gut is like your second mind. Now we're figuring out your heart and your gut has neurons as well. And if sometimes I eat like just 1 or 2 bananas and I still feel bloated just because I've done so much fasted trainings these last couple of years. But yeah, I just, your stomach's only as big as your fist. So I would say just an apple and a banana, 2 bananas or a couple of dates and a banana after one training session would fill you up for the next one.
Got it.
And yeah. And I'm just figuring out. My buddy's Conor McGregor's nutritionist, Eric Trilogy, and for my last couple MMA fights, he told me not to drink any or stop drinking, because you cut 20 pounds in 5 days for these MMA fights, which is very strenuous on the body. And so you rehydrate for 3 hours after the weigh-in. I usually put on like 7 to 15 pounds just in those 3 hours of hydrating. And then you wait 20 minutes to let your stomach acids all get back to normal. And then you start to eat to prepare for the next day for the event. And now after listening to Sanguru, I guess that's the yogi philosophy or yogi way, is that you never hydrate 20 minutes or before after any meal that you eat. So I'm like trying to consciously be aware of this. Like if I eat a banana, like I can't drink water 20 minutes before or after. So I have to be so dialed in on my hydration. Like, finish training, I'm going to chug some of my gallon with electrolytes in it. And then I'm going to wait 20 minutes, eat those 2 bananas, wait another 20 minutes, and just kind of trying to figure out my routine. But every day, shit's changing, different training sessions. You might get hurt, might sprain your ankle. So then you can't run in the afternoon. You got to swim or go lift and just do arms. So there is no perfect like routine or regimen, because I'm always making adjustments and just kind of winging it on the fly. But I like doing it that way. I don't like having, yeah.
Mix it up, baby. Yeah. You don't need to have like this regimen, this cookie cutter way of doing stuff. And by the way, being in Spain, right? Like I talked to you on the phone yesterday, we were in Santiago, which is just about 45 minutes north of Vigo. And then we went down to Porto. But one of the things I noticed in Spain and in Portugal is they don't serve water with the meals, right? You're enumerating, you're highlighting something that the English do. They'll have a glass of wine with a meal, but they don't drink like these big 32-ounce cups of water, because that doesn't do any good for the digestion and the enzymes in the system, right? Is that kind of what you're finding?
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, everything's just all sloshing in there together and slows down the digestion process. It's funny you brought up Spain, because I was eating a lot of octopus last year, and the spirit and how you said everything's energy. Eating those octopus, I think, was a huge key factor in me winning the world championships, because they're such a intelligent little beautiful animal, and it's like you're getting the spiritual power of eating the animal too, and the vitality. And they're so good for you as far as cutting weight, because they don't have any fat or carbohydrates. It's just all pure protein, superfood filled with collagen and abundance.
Love the pulpo. Yeah, and then I did have to have the peppers every now and then, just to have some kind of, because you'd have chorizo, a lot of bread, and then the pulpo with the potatoes. But every now and then we had to order the pimientos de padrón to have some greens in there,
Yeah, I'm not too big on the vegetables now that this carnivore MD guy, Paul Saladino's kind of made the animal based diet very popular. And I think, yeah, I need to start including more organ meats into my diet after, Liver King got exposed that he's actually on
Yep.
$12,000 a month worth of HGH.
What a joke,
But
right?
yeah,
But
but his method, it was correct,
Yeah, Jordan Peterson and his daughter both are on a pure meat diet. Jordan Peterson eats meat and salt and water, and his daughter got off of SSRIs on a carnivore diet with liver and things too. So there's definitely something to it, man.
Yeah, I can feel when I eat. I just bought the most expensive steak of my life last week because, I bought
In Solvang?
$150. Yeah, yeah, I bought $150 tomahawk up there at Coast and Range, and yeah, 40 ounces. That's more nutrients in one meal than I probably had in a whole week during my childhood, where I was just getting stoned and eating bags of chips and McDonald's and all that bullshit.
Do you ever get the meat sweats? Like my son told me this. We ate really late one night in Spain, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, but we had a lot of booze in us too. And like we wake up, we're like sweating because we had this massive, massive chunks of beef, like rare. So do you ever get the meat sweats at night?
No, maybe actually I was sweating a couple nights like a week or two ago. Maybe that was the night of the tomahawk actually. But yeah, we used to all go there after winning the world championships for one organizations in Long Beach, and the whole team would always go to those Brazilian barbecue all you can eat steakhouses afterwards to celebrate, and we all try to get our money's worth of the $70 and eat like 10 steaks. So
I love it.
that those nights I would definitely get the meat sweats. But yeah, lately I've I won the USA team trials this year without even like sweating and getting to like a high elevated heart rate. And I won, and I was like still breathing perfectly, never got out of breath. And just to see all these sauna sessions this year, I was training for Badwater, which just happened to pass by on July 4th. But after doing that 100-mile race, I got to take it to the next level. So eventually, at some point in this life, I'm going to complete Badwater, which is that, 135-mile race in starting in Death Valley and ending at Mount Whitney Portal, reaching,
Wow.
temperatures up to 125 degrees. So I was back on my regimen of running 50 to 70 miles a week, but this year, at sometimes, but also including sauna sessions, which I would go till failure, as long as I could, like 45 minutes and 180 degrees, but probably overdoing
Kevin,
it a little bit. Yeah.
what do you think is possible distance wise? I have a very good friend who just did a rim to rim to rim. I think that's 50 miles. And you're talking about, the ultras at 100, now 135. What do you think is possible?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, impossible says it right in it, right? I'm possible.
Right, right.
Some hidden knowledge in plain sight for you. But yeah, that guy, Cliff Young, the guy who, I forgot his name, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I was listening to a YouTube video, and he tells a story about Cliff Young, the sheep herder who beat everybody and set the world record in the 650-mile race because he never stopped. It was the power of not knowing. Yeah, he beat all these professional long distance runners. The sheep herder showed up in overalls and boots, and apparently he beat everyone and set a world record on the course or the race by 12 hours because he never slept. He just ran for 5 days straight, shuffling.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
Wow.
Cliff Young. So I've yet to look up more about his story, but that was pretty powerful and inspiring. The power of not knowing. Didn't know that you're supposed to run for 18 hours, sleep for 6, run for 18 hours, sleep for 6 for 5 days. And apparently he just never stopped and set the record by 12 hours.
Wow.
That's a phenomenal story. I love that.
Yeah. If you were getting chased by a fucking lion in the jungle, which is the only stress that we're actually supposed to have, not all this artificial stress created by this matrix we live in, I think you would run till you would die. I mean, otherwise you're gonna get eaten, so you might as well keep running.
Right.
Try to find some berry trees or fruit along the way in a river just so you can keep going. But yeah, I made that documentary, and that was the mindset. which you can translate into every aspect of life. It was 100 miles or die. You know, I was yelling that the whole 34 hours. And you have all these scientists and biologists and super intellectual, like nerdy guys in their like 50s and 60s running, you know, and like suffering in these like, and then you pass by these people that are in these negative states in what they call the pain cave. And I would just look at like a maniac because I have to be in that crazy mindset to keep going and reach my fullest potential. And I would just yell 100 miles or die because I wasn't going to give up, you know. I was willing to die out there in Zion. So when you're willing to die, what you will accomplish is incredible because the possibilities are infinite.
How did you get yourself into the mindset that you'd be willing to die on 100-miler that your brother had started and that he wasn't able to finish? But I guess what I'm trying to figure out, because I ran that marathon, and I'm like, I'm not willing to die for this marathon. I'm just going to come in. I only trained for a month and a half, so it's pretty stupid to train for a marathon for a month and a half. But you know, where do you get to yourself? I mean, how did you get yourself into that mental state where you said to yourself, I could die on this, it wouldn't matter, it would all be worth it? So how do you do that?
Yeah, I think my dad dying from fentanyl and my mother already being deceased for a couple of years, I knew that if I died, I would just be reunited with them. So that kind of gives me some weird sort of comfort and like safety net. But yeah, I was on a mission to be honest with myself and finally quit smoking and start chasing the dream of becoming a UFC champion and world champion in any organization that I'm competing in. And and it just kind of happened. I only trained like 2 months for that ultra too, and everyone thought I was like crazy and that I wasn't going to do it. My brother, my family, my friends, but everybody I went up to, I was telling them I was about to run 100 miles, and I was even, I guess, lying to myself at first, or you know. And then I would look at my feet when I was taking the Epsom salt baths after crushing 15-mile runs, fasted during the hottest part of the day, and I'd look at my feet and just be like, wow, these things are really going to take me 100 miles. And then yeah, sure enough, I did it. And there's a cool part of that race where I was kind of, and the hardest part was probably when it got cold at 2 a.m. at in between mile like 60 to 80. I came up on an aid station, just finally got to more food and water, refill your camel pack, get a cup of noodles in you to warm up and keep the salt levels where they need to be. And there was this German fellow, and he was around the fire and like suffering from not hypothermia, but he was all cold and just around the fire, and he had given up and he had quit or was giving up, and he was talking to some other people that were around the fire, kind of breaking and about to give up. And I walked up to them and I just looked at them and I go, is this the circle of where we convince each other it's okay to quit? And then I just walked off into the dark abyss.
That's a great response.
Yeah, because I was in competition not only with myself, which I'm just trying to fuck up Kevin Crane and beat that little bitch voice in my head every day, every second. But these people that are quitting, they're actually not helping you because they're making your subconscious mind auto suggest, oh, it's okay to quit. These guys gave up, you know? So they're actually not fucking helping me. Their pussy frequencies, sorry, excuse my language. They're
distractions.
Their quitter mentality is what's starting to wear off on me, you know, like, and hopefully they kept going after I motivated and inspired them. But I mean, out there, it's like survival of the fittest, you know. For me, it was life or death. And I had to stay in that high, crazy mindset to keep going, because you can't give yourself 1 second of doubting yourself, you know, or giving up.
I love that. I think Jonathan and I have been on this kind of journey about how God loves us and how we are loved beyond any kind of knowledge that we know. And when we fail and we fall, it's because it's our own inadequacies. It's not the lack of love that's directed towards us from the oneness. It's our deceiving ourselves that we're not worthy. of that love. And I think
Yeah.
if more and more of us could surround ourselves with people who understand that we are loved regardless of what happens. I mean, you even talked about getting rid of that little bitch voice, and we do it, right? We can say, "Do you?" I said, even today, I said, "You idiot!" Oh, nope, no, I'm not an idiot. I am a good guy. I'm a smart guy, because we get ourselves caught up in that. And what you've proven, that race is just another microcosm of, this is not about them. It's about me. This is not about them. And I'm in a place where I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to let myself get in my own way. So that's why we need community, man, as well, because even though we can do it, the more we surround ourselves with others, and when I meditate with other people, it's kind of got this kind of visceral thing that actually becomes more and more powerful, right?
Yeah. Amen. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Like my friend yesterday said, I'm an idiot because he like forgot something. I go, no, you're not. You're a genius. Keep telling yourself, I'm a genius. I am
Yeah.
this. I am the power of I am. I am smart. I am beautiful and intelligent. I am unstoppable. I am bigger. I am stronger. I am faster. I've literally been getting bigger, stronger, and faster just by the affirmations. Obviously, I've been eating the best I've ever ate with steak and eggs and high quality foods. It's all frequency, vibration, and energy. So yeah, you got to just keep increasing, find ways to increase your energy, frequency, and vibration. So yeah, it's so powerful. It's like I used, yeah, yeah,
Kevin, I'm going to geek out here for a minute and ask,
yeah.
because you're getting into the UFC. That's your destination. What weight class?
170. I'm 5'10", 100 and like 95 pounds. Same kind
So
of
you cut
height.
down to the 170.
Yeah, short.
You then are very aware of Conor McGregor, and
Yeah,
There's a trainer.
really,
Yeah, he knows McGregor's trainer, Jonathan.
yeah. So Conor really is one of the first athletes in the UFC that really perfected that idea of the manifesting a future reality. He's really good at that. How did that
yeah.
influence you?
Yeah, very, very big influence. Yeah, I mean, I just saw another video that John Jones used to sign his autograph as world champion before he became champion. So he was aware of the law of attraction and manifestation, the powers of manifestation as well. But yeah, McGregor definitely was the most accurate with all his predictions, where he would predict exactly where he was going to knock him out in what round, and how he just worked his way all the way up to becoming 2 division champ in the UFC champ. And then since then, it's been done like 5 times already in a couple of years by other people. So it's pretty cool to see the positive impact that he's had on the entire world and the collective consciousness, because once, it's like the 4-minute mile now. People are doing it left and right, after it's been done before. So for me, I'm looking to get to that level where I can do something that's never been done before and show the whole world that it's possible, and then people will follow in my footsteps after I complete it. So for me, I'm 28 years old. I'm 1-1 as a professional mixed martial artist. I still have time. Glover Teixeira just won the UFC title, and he was 44 years old. So that gives me 17 years. And the level of grappling I'm at, I'm one of the best grapplers in the planet, definitely the most entertaining. And now after I win this world title in Poland for Team USA grappling, I'm flying directly to Thailand, which it's been a dream of mine for almost 10 years now, to go to Thailand and learn the roots of the real Muay Thai, which is like the most effective form of striking in martial arts, the elbows, knees, punching, and go learn from in the roots, the motherland, and kick the palm trees with the little Thai guys, and get to my level of striking to where even with the level of grappling I've already reached, because I'm one of the best grapplers in the world. And if I can get my striking to that level, as well as continually elevate my mindset, I think I'll be unstoppable once I get into the UFC. Make a great run. Yeah.
I also saw a recent Muay Thai match where there's a lot of honor, and there's a lot of iterations of respect and things that happened as they start off with that kind of headband and they go in. And then even when there was a decision for somebody to, that somebody won, they still got together in the middle of the round. They kind of bowed down to each other. It's a lot of really neat honorifics that kind of took place in that. So that's fascinating to see. And the level of, it's a totally different level, man. It gets to a spiritual level, not just pure physical, right? Where it seems like jujitsu, it kind of still hangs out on that physical level, but it seemed like with Muay Thai, man, it's just a different zone.
Yeah, I think because you can knock another man unconscious or even kill him. So jujitsu is less, the deaths are less likely, the physical damage is less. Yeah, and when you KO someone unconscious, yeah, it's definitely more powerful than just choking someone into submission and letting them tap out. Yeah, the arousal, I would say, because sports psychology is all about the perfect arousal, not being too calm, but not being too excited, just kind of being in that flow state. And yeah, yeah, the striking is that's why I got into jujitsu or in MMA, because I want to reach I want to get my jujitsu test to the highest capability. So when another man's trying to knock you out unconscious in your underwear and you're both in your underwear fighting in front of the whole world, it's definitely one of the most vulnerable states you can be in.
Kevin, what's your path to the 170 UFC title?
Yeah, just win this last world title from Team USA in Poland coming up August 24th. And then from there, just go to Thailand I have no flight returning to the United States. I'm supposed to be competing in the World Combat Games in Saudi Arabia for Team USA as well, which is in October. But it'll leave me all of September to be training stand up and focusing on the striking aspect of martial arts. Also, I want to go find like some ancient monk guru to learn some meditation, and I want to do like a 3-day silent meditation just to calm my mind from all the 28 years of chaos. And yeah, I think I'll start really shining over there in Thailand with and standing out and starting to really give myself what I deserve, which is the best coaches, the best training partners, and the best environment to become a UFC champion. Training at Tiger Muay Thai, that facility is incredible. They have dorms, and a lot of UFC champions have done their training camps there. And
Who owns that?
I'm not sure who the owner of Tiger Muay Thai is, but Mike Swick, the ex-UFC fighter, has
Yes.
AKA Thailand,
Yes.
which is also another great facility. And my two of my friends both run the jiu-jitsu at both of them. So definitely got really good connections with two of my friends that are black belts and I've known for both over 10 years.
Has Dana White noticed you yet? Have you had a conversation yet?
I was out at training at the UFC headquarters, helping Marvin Vettori with his jiu-jitsu because he was getting ready for fighting a really good leg locker. And we met Dana for like a second. He just walked up, but no, I don't think he knows who I am yet because I haven't done anything really too fascinating in the MMA world yet. Definitely everyone in the jiu-jitsu community and that sport knows who I am, but not I haven't really made a big indent in mixed martial arts yet.
But you'll get there.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You will be champion. Go get it. I love that because you know what? Everything you're talking about has reinforced that idea. And it's almost like a flywheel. If you keep that positivity going and you keep experiencing the outcomes that you've manifested, it creates that flywheel that just keeps going. You sound like you're in the flywheel.
Yeah, I love that flywheel. I'm gonna steal that term. I've never heard that one before. Yeah, my brother made me write when you were talking about legacy earlier, or the funeral of the one gentleman and how 80% of the people didn't know each other beforehand.
Yeah.
That was really powerful to see how you could bring everyone together for one day like that and just make everyone's connected, and I wrote my obituary. My brother made me write my obituary. He calls it his legacy letter as part of his self-development program. And it was one of the deepest things I'd ever done to help me get aware of how dishonest I was being with myself, with my daily actions and where they were leading me compared to where I really want to go.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, I went over there and I was still just smoking weed and just not training anywhere near where I should be and doing a million other things wrong. And I just begged him to help me, and he put me down in the room and we did some very therapeutic stuff, got me really emotional and really triggered some deep internal stuff that I had to purge out. And yeah, writing your obituary is really powerful because it's like, all right, you're dead. Like, how are you going to be remembered? You know, that's all that matters is these invisible assets: friendship, love, integrity, honesty. We get so caught up in the matrix trying to, with all the sex, drugs, alcohol, fame, money, that I had everything fucking backwards for a long time.
It's distractions, and I think that the world is surrounded by that now. I think we're in a worse place. I mean, you could take like this video of people walking around Philadelphia. They're in zombies. They're on some special new drug where you go through this entire set of downtown Philadelphia and people are just like modern zombies and they haven't broken through. So one of the things we talked about on the phone call is, you overcame depression. You certainly overcame this trauma of your childhood. What was there a particular time or a place where you were able to, because I think you were smoking all the way through high school, right? And where did you find that you were able to overcome some of these traumas and this depression and rewire your brain into a different place? We're finding the more and more people we talk to people who have different viewpoints, but they all overcome something, right? And what we're trying to accomplish here is how do we help the world understand that, hey, guys, there's a lot of people who have been through what you're going through right now. And we found people who have overcome that, right? And we've got stories. We got different stories for different people because not everybody's going to take it the same way. Tell us a little bit about how you overcame that childhood trauma, that having parents that really weren't there for you. And you talked a little bit about your uncle helping out, but where did you come up with this kind of overcoming mindset, both in terms of depression and or the trauma you went through?
The fasting was a huge help because that showed me, if you can control what you put in your body, then you can control everything else, And yeah, I'm fasted from sex now too, almost a year. I went full monk mode, and yeah, I think being honest with myself and through all these training sessions and competing over and over in that tournament in Costa Mesa, I was depressed right after. I had 8 matches and I lost in the quarterfinal in the absolute, which is no weight category, just all the medalists from every division. And I had 8 matches and I was so jacked afterwards. I could have still went to the gym or went straight to running training for the next one. And I made sure that I didn't even have a single gram of white sugar. We went into Whole Foods, me and my Peruvian buddy, and I just wanted to get a thing of cookies, because I'm not, smoking or drinking or using that to suppress my emotional trauma or my emotions, But I wanted to, I've reached a point where I'm so aware that I knew that I had to feel that pain to make sure that I was driven for the next tournament to win and reach my fullest potential as becoming a champion. And yeah, I didn't even have a single gram of white sugar because sugar is obviously in food is the most abused drug on the planet. All these people just overeat and eat themselves to escape. And yeah, I think that would be the best way to start to deal with the anxiety and depression is just to fast and put nothing in your body and really feel everything that you're supposed to be feeling, and then deal with it through running and swimming in the ocean and meditation and breath work.
No, that's awesome. And that's powerful. And, a lot of people think that they do fasting because of weight loss, but really you're sloughing off dead cells. I think that you can get your mind into a really clear state. When I'm doing my fasting and I'm really like intentional about it and I'm doing like 6-hour windows, that morning session late morning, just before you get to that meal, when you're going to have it at say 12:30 or 1 or 2, that's when I think I'm at my best cognitively. There's this place where your body's, all the toxins are gone, inflammation is getting reduced, and it's a great place. And I don't think, if you were to ask 99 out of 100 people if the best way to overcome, addiction or depression or trauma would be fasting, I think that might not be top of mind, but I think I love that angle of it, and definitely a balanced approach, right? Breath work, fasting, exercise, right? All these things combined, I think are an amazing angle to get that done.
Yeah, add the cold plunge in there too. So
There you go. Well, this has been awesome, man. This is exactly, it's more than I was expecting. I just love your angle, your viewpoint. I definitely, my son is going to love this. He's 27. He's a great guy, works at Strange Beast in Ventura. I know you probably don't have a lot of cocktails every now and then, but he also works out of the gym, and he's got a group of friends that really, when I told him we're having this podcast, I think he's going to be excited to listen to it and to learn from it. And there's a lot of young men out there who are being told they're over masculine, right? That especially in our demographic, of privilege, that the weight of the world is on them, and the fact that relationships are hard, and there's a lot of just bummed out folks from COVID and looking at the economy. We need more young voices to say there's ways to overcome this, and we can be better, and we can change the world we live in, and we can change the people. We can change the outcomes of our lives. We don't have to be depressed. We don't have to be looking at porn. We don't have to be smoking weed all day long, right? And abusing ourselves.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see all these positive changes, lifestyle changes that I've made. All my friends, all my family, I guess I would say the whole world, especially my friends around my age, want to do the same. Everyone wants to be a beast. Everyone wants to be a world champion. Everyone wants to be a billionaire. Like, everyone wants to reach their highest self and not be fat and lazy. And to see that the fact that I've accomplished, a few of these things, and that the people want the same, it's just so motivating to just keep showing up and being an example for everybody else around me, just leading by example with all these positive transformations.
Kevin, I got a final question for you before we close. And I'm sure have you seen The Matrix, the movie?
I have, yeah. It's been probably 10 years, but I watched
so you've seen it. What character are you in The Matrix, if you were one?
I guess Neo, right? The main character.
Right. That's what I would have guessed.
It's the hero's journey, and I think to encapsulate this, you have lived the hero's journey. You kind of took on all obstacles and said, "No, we got this," and that journey has led you to a place that's near the pinnacle. Like, your path to the end of UFC at 170 champion, it's not that far away. That's got to be an amazing place to be. And I got to applaud you for that, because at one point in your life, you decided, I'm not going to do these things that are going to keep me back. And so I just want to applaud you on that, because that takes a lot of work and intentionality, but you did it. So well done.
Thank you, Jonathan. That really touches me on the deepest level possible. I just found out about this hero's journey and how that's what life really is all about. And now I'm in the final quarter where I'm starting to finally give back, after being 28 for almost a year now. In October, I'll be 29. But I just, your cellular and molecular makeup gets or your cells, and all your molecules and your whole body changes every 7 years. And I'm kind of going into the 5th chapter of my life, I would say. And I've been just focusing on it, how every decision is affecting everybody else, and really giving back and helping these men do the longest runs of their life, they only believe that they could run 1 mile, 2 mile, 5 miles. And then we just go out there on a Thursday night after training twice already and crush 10 miles. And to see the look in their eyes and the transformation that takes place in that little 2-hour running session, that they really just had this limiting belief in their mind the whole time. And that's been like the newest, most intriguing part of my life, where I'm just helping all these guys from the Jiu-Jitsu Academy do the longest runs of their life, which they could have done, any day they chose. They just never chose to do it.
Wow. Yeah, man. Congrats. I knew from the get-go this was going to be a great podcast, and I really appreciate your coming on. And I think one of the great things about this podcast is there's so many things we haven't even talked about today, and I'd love the opportunity to hear more about, especially we can't have you come on after August, find out what's going on with that upcoming event on the 24th. Now, you might be, if you go to Thailand, then maybe this is going to have to be a podcast from Thailand. That could be pretty exciting. We'd have to have a Zoom presentation where you're going to have to pan around and show us the beautiful beaches that you're on. I'm envisioning it right now, man, where there's like Jean-Claude Van Damme, man, doing his kickboxer role, right? So just wanted to, say thanks very much for joining this podcast. I'm looking forward to chatting with you more. I want to go for a run with you on the hills or Sulphur Mountain or wherever you're going. I've definitely got a new pair of speed goats, so I've got to get out there more and start running more. I love hitting the trails, man. And I'm looking forward to this journey and learning more about your success, and love to hear more about how we can take this great conversation and help as many, doesn't have to be young men, it could be anybody who's really feeling ways they can overcome the traumas of the world, and
whoever watched this, especially, and listens to this all the way up until the end, just stick to the game plan, follow your heart, listen to your gut. Your intuition is your blueprint and your map to reaching your highest self and fullest potential on this planet, and bend but never break. And as far as you never giving up, then that's the secret to life, and helping others. Love is the most powerful vibration and frequency. So once you begin to love yourself and to the highest level that you can, you start to love everybody else around you, and then hopefully one day this world will reach a level of peace.
Right on. And how do we find how does our audience get to learn more about you and your journey and media and other kinds of publications?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram with Kevin. Remember the name Crane is the handle, and then Kevin Crane on Facebook. And I don't have a website right now, but I will have one shortly. I'm working on it with one of my sponsors. And if you guys have time, go follow my brother as well, Sean Michael Crane. He's been a great positive influence in my life, and definitely it's been probably the major influence on getting me to where I am today. And he's helping change men's life all around the planet on a scale that I would like to get to. And that's why I need to win this UFC title, because that's the platform where the message will get out there to the whole world. And
Amen.
It's the mission and the dream that we're about to fulfill.
Kevin, we'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, definitely.
He sounds like a perfect person to have on our podcast.
Yeah, I should have had this video on the whole time, huh?
That's all right. We actually
Yeah.
don't have video yet for the podcast. It's still all audio
Okay.
right now, and so you were perfect. You sounded really good on the call. Should be a great podcast.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I love you guys. Thank you. That was incredible. You guys got me pumped up. I'm gonna have to go do a third training fasted. I was gonna eat a couple bananas or like dates, and I was like, nah, fuck that. I need to make sure that my cognitive mental clarity and just awareness, it's crazy, especially for conversating, like more important than even like the physical training,
Well, I look forward to seeing your journey now, because I know you now, and it's like, dude, I've been watching the UFC since number 3. Like I've been in this journey a lot, and I've seen everybody. I can't wait to see you rise, and because it's going to happen. Like If anybody I've ever met is going to make that happen, you're one of those people because you have the evidence. You've overcome that point in your body where it says, no, I don't want to do this. And you're like, no, we're going to do this. It's not even a question. It's not even a thought anymore. You're going to get there. And
He's
I
already got it manifested. It's
so
being
look forward to that.
manifested. Yeah. It's
Yes.
pulling the future to the present. You're pulling it through.
Yeah, it's powerful. I had like some Mexican food with my buddy, the training partner that I've been mentoring. And after like fasting, like 20 hours at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, and that like or what's today? Yeah, Friday. That fucked me up. So
I know what you mean, man. Yeah. You got to ease into that fast.
Yeah, I had like
paralysis, gut bomb, a 3-way.
Yeah, chips and salsa and a burrito. And I'm like, dude, I need to get back to just like 5 ingredients on my body: honey, dates, bananas, grass-fed beef, and organic eggs. And I mean, keep it simple, and and then you don't have to deal with, life's hard though. It's not easy.
That's right. All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for your time. Have a great weekend. Really enjoyed this and looking forward to what's next. And we'll be in touch pretty soon.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for your time, and I'll be in touch.
Peace, brother.
Much love.
All right.